Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today I want to give you guys a quick look at the Hyperkin Specialist Premium Controller for the TurboGrafx-16. Here's the box, looking pretty good. Got the foil back logo going on up there, looks nice. Controller includes the adapter for the PC engine, that's a nice perk. And it has a 10-foot cable, that's pretty impressive. And here it is. As you can see, it's aesthetically pleasing, I'll give it that. It has like this Hyperkin H sticking up over here. You get this grill thingamajig here. Kind of nice, kind of grippy. And you get the black background and you got the yellow stripe, and this kind of makes me think of the band Striper, if you've ever heard of those guys. Striper rocks. But yeah, you know, these buttons though, they're really clicky and require a significant amount of force, and I don't really like that. Like, it just doesn't, it seems like this is gonna wear at you after a while. Like, and I've put a good couple hours on this thing, and it hasn't worn down at all. Like, it hasn't felt like it's worn in yet. But yeah, just on games that you're going to be tapping these buttons a lot, I think it's a little bit much. It requires a little too much force. And so maybe that's just because it's new. Maybe that's the design. I'm not quite sure. But I can tell you that this run and this select button, they kind of suck. They feel really spongy, really rubbery. And the run button, sometimes like when you press it, it doesn't want to come back up all the way. And so you kind of get to flick the bean here, so to speak. And it'll pop back up, and sometimes if you hit the select button a little bit, it'll kind of pop back up like it did there. The D-pad feels pretty good, but it suffers the same fate as the buttons here. Like, it just requires a little bit too much force, a little bit too clicky. I mean, I like that it's responsive, but it might be a little bit just too much. That works really well for the turbo setting buttons though, because they click right into place really well. You know exactly where those things are at. See what I mean? But the back has these things to make it more ergonomic, more comfortable, more whatever. But I don't really care for them. Like, my fingers don't really know what to do back there. Like, they just kind of start feeling around. They kind of want to go back to the very back where these things aren't. It just doesn't quite feel right to me. But yeah, I mean, I could have done without those, I guess is what I'm getting at. And of course you get the little notches, which is a Hyperkin thing. It makes me think of the Retron 5 controller, which was kind of a piece of crap. This feels better than that though. And so now we can go ahead and compare it to an authentic turbo pad. You can see that they're pretty similar looking. But listen to that. That just feels nice. Like, it takes very little resistance there. Pops back up okay. Or actually, I should say, as like it. Basically, this does what I expect a button to do. That feels good. That feels really good. Whereas this, that's a lot. It's just too much. But yeah, and then this feels good. That feels like it should. This, not so much. If you look at both of them stacked on top of each other, you can see that the Hyperkin is significantly thicker than the original turbo pad. And you know, that kind of also takes away from the feel of the controller, in my opinion. It makes it feel more bulky, more like a toy, more like that Retron 5 controller that I dislike that I mentioned earlier. So with all that being said, do I think that you should buy one? Do I think that it's worth it? really, I'd like to say yes or no, but it depends on why you're buying it. Like if you're buying it because it's readily available, you can like find it at your local game store or maybe GameStop or I don't know, eBay, Amazon, whatever, and you just need a controller that works, then great. You know, like I only paid 20 bucks for this thing, and for 20 bucks I think it's actually pretty awesome. Originally this thing retailed for $30. $30 is a bit too much. 20 bucks, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. I'm gonna use it as like a backup controller, or like maybe like a player 2 controller, like if somebody comes over and wants to play. I did test this on the turbo tap or the multi-tap or whatever, and it totally works with it, so that's cool. It does have this long ass cord, 10 foot, and yeah, it's not bad for 20 bucks. However, if you actually want a really great experience on your TurboGrafx-16, I suggest that you just spend a little bit more money and get the authentic controller. I mean, you can find a used one in good shape for probably around 50-60 bucks. If you want like a brand new one, those are kind of rare and those are expensive. So, I mean, just find yourself a good used one and you should be fine. If you want like a generic controller for your TurboGrafx-16 that, you know, is cheaper and everything, like there is another one that came out by a company called Old School. It's basically like a cheesy like clone of the original Turbo Pad, but it's $30 and it still, you know, it still feels like a cheaper controller like this, but it at least feels more like this because the casing is more like this. But you know, so it's cool that there's a couple options out there, and if you really wanted to, you could take this thing apart and you could like make direct solder connections onto the buttons and everything, and you can make an arcade stick out of it, right? So yeah, 20 bucks, not too shabby. And yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about this. Let me know in the comments section if you decide to pick one up or what you think about it, if you did pick one up already. I'm gonna go play some TurboGrafx-16. Until next time, stay sinister.